This is a lower body strength workout targeting the glutes in your follicular phase, specifically the early follicular phase. So anytime after your bleed starts to taper off, you feel some energy levels returning. This can be in that window after day 3, so around day 3 to day 10 of your cycle, depending on what your menstrual phase looks like. This one is a priming workout, so we are preparing the body for the heavy work that is coming in the next 2 weeks. So we're starting with a heavy weight. It's a challenging weight that should feel hard in the last few reps of each set. This is a great time for this type of work for hypertrophy, for building muscle when our physiology supports it. We have quicker recovery times. We are utilizing carbohydrates very efficiently. We have improved performance indicators like cooling, and time to exhaustion is longer. So all of these things support a more intense effort. This is the time in the cycle to begin working hard. So in today's practice, we have 2 supersets where we're combining both an asymmetrical exercise using one leg at a time and a symmetrical exercise where we'll double up the weight and use both legs together. We are working to a prescribed rep scheme in this workout. So we have 10 reps of each exercise. And with that, you might find that your pace is very different than mine, and that is okay. You can always use the pause button if you need more space. You can always move a little more quickly if you need a quicker pace, if you're wanting to turn up the intensity even more. If you're wanting to take this to a gym or again work on your own without the guided video, you can always check out the movement tutorial, which is linked in the description below, to get a quick overview of the exercises, the form, the mechanics, what weight selection you might need to use, and then you can work at your own pace. So that works great for some of these workouts that have a prescribed rep scheme where we're not working to a timed interval structure. So you'll want, again, a weight that is challenging. You want the last few reps to feel pretty difficult where you could only have maybe 1 or 2 left in reserve. This is that time in the cycle where we can get away with a little bit more in terms of exertion without dipping ourselves into the red, without depleting resources. This workout also has an optional body weight finisher at the end. It's just 5 minutes of body weight work to really burn out the glutes. And again, it is totally optional. It's one of those things where if at the end of your workout you're feeling really energized and you want just a little bit extra, you can add that finisher at the end. So for now, let's jump into our warm-up. We are ready to begin a very quick lower body warm-up to prepare you for strength training. So for things like deadlifts, squats, and lunges. We're going to warm up all the major joints and get your muscles ready to move. A little bit of glute activation and some work in the legs to elevate your heart rate and to get your body warm. So I'll get our timer started. We have just 5 different movements that we're performing each for 1 minute here. We'll start in about 10 seconds with a squat to a side bend. So take your feet wide, toes out, heels in. Let's begin. Squat it down, sweep that arm up and over, side bend. Take it down nice and deep and bend to the sides. We're opening the side channels of the spine, really lengthening the torso to support the lower body work that we have coming up in these lower body workouts. We're here for about 40 more seconds, just squatting down, feeling that alignment where the knees are tracking over the toes. The lower back is neutral, head and heart are elevated. You can even add a little bit of a twist if you like to this side bend. Coming up onto the toes as you reach side to side. Breathing in through the nose and exhaling through pursed lips, creating that deep connection to breath right from the beginning, right from the warm-up. And come up. We are switching now to a hip circle with circling in the ankles. So we take it around nice and wide on one side. Let's do a few more times forward and then back. Imagine like you're stepping over a gate. We take it back and around, stepping in and out. And then we're going to circle that ankle all the way around. Point and flex the foot. Really hug that shin into your body to create that separation between the thigh bones and play with the single leg balance. Other side, take it out and around. Nice wide hip circles here. Stepping over that gate, switching directions, forward or back. So again, we're starting to get familiar with the single leg balance, which will support us in the workout. Hug that knee into chest, circle the ankle, one direction, and then the other. Point and flex the foot, and hug that shin into chest. Excellent work. We're coming into a hip hinge. Bring your hands behind your head. Hinge at the hips, come forward, turn the toes out, squat, and then roll up to stand. So release that down. Hands behind the head. Hip hinge forward. Weight is in the ball mounds of the feet. Squat it down, lift the heart, and roll. Allow the spine to flex as you roll all the way up. Hands behind the head. Practice the hip hinge here. Stretch the head forward, and then squat. The torso lifts upright. Hips drop, and we roll all the way up to standing. Such functional movements here, the hip hinge and the squat. We reach it forward, spine is nice and straight. Come up and roll all the way to stand. So here, imagine the spine moving crown to tail as a unit. It comes forward, and then it lifts up as the hips drop, and we roll up to standing. Now we're shifting into a spider lunge with rotate. So we're going to come into that deep squat, take the hands to the mat, step your right foot back, open the left arm up, twist, switch sides. So we take right foot forward, left foot back, twist it open, and exchange. Stepping forward and back. We're here working into rotation of the spine now. So any warm up should really target the 6 planes of motion in the spine. So we have flexion, extension, rotation, and lateral bending in each direction. So here we're working on the rotational component and working into the hips with that nice deep spider lunge. So create that long step back and allow the hips to sink down towards the mat without collapsing. So there's still some buoyancy in the pelvis. There's that activation and integration. Last one here. Keep that right foot forward, bring the back knee down, rocking lunge. So we come from lizard with the hips deeply bent and rock it back. Forward, lift the heart and roll it back. Lift, up, and slowly return. We'll be here for about 10 more seconds and then we'll switch sides. We'll take that opposite foot forward. So here, just awakening the hamstrings and the spine, moving through cat and cow, rounding and extending. Switch sides here, right knee back, left foot forward, rocking lunge. So let this be slow and smooth. We're not forcing that front leg straight by any means, just working to engage the quadricep and help that hamstring relax so we can get a bit of stretch, a bit of space before we begin our strength training practice. Lift up through the heart and roll it back. Last few here. And slowly come forward. Step your back foot to your hands and roll bone by bone all the way up to standing. Let's take a huge breath in. Inhale. Sigh it out. Exhale. You are ready to move. Now that you're warmed up and ready to move, we will get into our glute workout for today. So you are going to need a chair for this workout, an elevated surface. We're doing sit to stands and elevated glute bridges here. So that means the lower your elevated surface is, the more challenging it will be for the sit to stand. And the higher it is, the more challenging it will be for the glute bridge. So you want to have something that you can sit down without having to go too close to the ground. So a chair works great for that. You'll also want your heavy set of dumbbells. We'll be alternating between using a single heavy dumbbell and then both together. So our first movement pattern is that single leg sit to stand. So you'll grab one dumbbell. You'll have the weight at your chest. And here we have one foot on the ground. I like to start with the non-dominant leg. Your opposite leg can be either outstretched and straight, or you can have the toes lightly resting on the ground or just hovering above to focus all of the effort in that working leg. We've got 10 reps. Let's start now. So we rise to stand all the way up and then slowly lower down to a seat. Be mindful as you come back that you're sitting all the way back into that chair. That's 2 reps there. Come all the way up to stand and try to keep your chest and spine elevated the whole way through. Here's 4. Usually takes a few reps in the beginning to get the balance under control, but the follicular phase is a great time to work on this type of asymmetrical pattern. So where we're recruiting balance with one leg at a time. It's a time when our brains have a little bit better spatial awareness and coordination. Last 2 here. Breathe in as you come down and then exhale to stand and rest. So you can take your rest seated on your chair if you like. Just kind of shake out that grip with the heavier weights. Your grip will get tired. So just take the recovery periods as you need them. We are in the in the follicular phase where we experience shorter recovery times. So we don't need to be here too long, just enough to let your breath come back to normal. So take your weights up. We'll come into the second side now. Keep the spine nice and elevated. Lift the hip points toward the low ribs. Let's begin. Press down through that front heel to activate the glute. That's 1. Take it up. That's 2. So feel the power as you extend the hips and bring that leg straight. That's 3. That's 4. Breathe in and out. Try not to rock or build with momentum. Instead, we're using that strict strength in that standing leg. There's 7. Here's 8. Last 2. Press it up. 2. And 1. Come all the way up. We are moving on to our straight leg deadlift next. So you'll have the weights out in front of you. Our starting position is with the weights lifted by your sides. So you have the palms facing in. This is a hip hinge movement pattern. So the feet are about hips width distance and parallel. We roll the shoulders back, hip points lift to the low ribs. We fold the body in half at the hips, bring the weights to about mid shin, and then drive through the heels to extend up with a little bit of power. This one will feel a little bit harder because we're using both weights together. So grab your weights, bring them into position. Start at the top, 10 reps. Let's go. Keep that micro bend in the knees, mid shin, and drive up. Feel the power. Drive through your heels to extend the hips. So it's a hinge, and then we extend. That's 3. Breathe in. Exhale forcefully on the way out. Tap into your power. That's 4. Breathe here. So your posterior chain, the muscles in the back will be working the whole time, but we want to take any strain out of the lower back. So to do that, we brace the low belly. We draw the navel to the spine. There's 6. 4 more. Count them back. 4. Keep the shoulder blades pressing onto the back. 3. 2. And 1. Set the weights down very mindfully, carefully, especially with these heavier weight ranges. You want to take care in the space between your exercises. You don't want to risk dropping the weights or pulling the muscles to get those weights up and down, but use that as part of the workout itself in between. Coming into our second round of sit to stand. Should have mentioned we have 4 rounds of each of these. So it is a high volume of work. Let's start with the non-dominant leg. Get into position. So you've got the spine upright, 90-degree bend in the knee, and let's begin. 10 reps. Bring it up and slowly lower down. Press through that heel, drive through the glute. So you really find the different phases of movement on the way up. 3, the different muscles that have to activate to make it happen. Here's 4. Sit and stand. There's 5. Breathe. Take it up. for 6. Connect deeply to that diaphragmatic breath. Here's 7. Don't worry if you lose your balance. Just come right back in when you're ready. And know that in those moments when you lose balance, you're recruiting all of the little stabilizing muscles that support your legs and joints and protect you from injury. That's 9 and 10. Rest. Take a recovery period here between sides. You can rest your weight. You can stand up and shake it out. Whatever feels best in your body. Few very deep breaths here. And then we'll come into our second side. So again, you can be holding the weights at chest height. So we're loading directly over the hips. And then we take one leg out. Let's begin. 10 reps. Here we go. Drive through that front heel and slowly sit back. Try to keep your head and chest elevated the whole time. Here's 3, all the way to stand. And here's 4. So this is a squat. It's different than the hip hinge in that we're keeping the head and chest elevated the whole time. There's 5. Come down. And 6. We're halfway through this set. Here's 7. Down. Feel the work, the stabilization effort in that working leg. Here's 9. All the way up and all the way down. Last one. All the way up to stand and set that weight down. So you can get your weights into position now for the straight leg deadlift. So this one different than other deadlift variations where you might start at the ground and push the ground away to come up. Instead, we're hinging at the hips with that straight leg to activate the meaty part of the hamstring and the glutes. Take a big breath, and when you're ready, we will grab the weights, come into position. We have 10 reps here. Press your shoulder blades onto your back. Try to avoid flaring the low ribs by hugging hip points up to the low ribs. Here we go. Hinge at the hips. Take it down to mid-shin. Drive it up. That's 1. Breathe in and out. Find your powerful exhale. You have that micro bend in the knee so you're not pulling around the knee joint. That's 4. Take it down and up. That's 5. This is heavy work. 6. So you want to be approaching 7. That difficulty, that struggle at about rep 7 or 8. I'm there with you. There's 9 and 10. So that struggle point is where it feels challenging to get the last few reps. Like you know, you only have 2, maybe 3 reps in reserve that you could finish before hitting your failure point. If you're hitting your failure point within the 10 reps here, that means you might be a little bit too heavy, or you can use that and take your rep scheme down by a few reps so that you can work to that maximum effort. So here we're working on hypertrophy, on building the muscles. So we're not wanting to work to failure necessarily, but pretty close. So we're in 70 to 85% of our maximum in each of these sets. So we'll come into our third set, get into position, and let's begin. Take it up and slowly lower down. The first few reps, always a little bit of coordination required there. Here's 3. Keep the spine lifting straight up and straight down. There's 4. Breathe in. And 5. Feel the glutes activate by pressing through the heel. Here's 6. Finding that balance. And 7. So I'm hitting that point where these last 3 are going to be a challenge. There's 8. Here's 9. And 10. Take it all the way up. So that one definitely felt the last 3 reps were very difficult. And that's where you want to be. We're in our third round, our third set of work. So this is where we're feeling the volume accumulate. And that's right where we want to be. We want to be feeling the challenge in the last few reps. Let's come into the second side. 10 reps. Here we go. Straight up to stand and all the way back down. Lift up. The spine moves straight up and down. Here's 3. Breathe in and exhale forcefully. That's 4. You got this. Keep that strong hold in the weight so the elbows are close to the body. There's 6. Here's 7. Try not to drop into your seat. I can feel myself doing that a little bit here. There's 8. So control the descent so you have a soft landing in that chair. Here's 9. Down and up. That's 10. Excellent job. Set your weight down. Get ready for your straight leg deadlift. So take a little bit of a breather, maybe shake out the spine with a little bit of rotation, and then we'll come back right back in. This is the end of round 3. We only have one more round through after this, and then a full minute of recovery. When you're ready, grab your weights, come into position. So this is a monster set of work. I'm feeling it too. Let's begin. Take it down. Hinge at the hips. Drive through the heels. Breathe out. That's 1. Inhale. Exhale. That's 2. Take it down and up. That's 3. Down and up. That's 4. Here's 5. You've got 5 more. Keep that spine straight and strong. It moves as a unit. So crown to tail, they lower at the same rate and lift at the same rate. Here's 7. 8. Last 2. Count them back. 2. And 1. Power through the legs all the way up. I know those are getting hard. We're really tapping into that strength of some of the largest muscle groups in the body. So it creates a very significant energy demand where even though we're moving slowly, we're not in conditioning work by any means, but you will feel your heart rate elevated and you are in that higher intensity just through resistance training alone. So it's a great way to improve all the levers of fitness and health in just a single weight training session. Here we go. Last round, sit to stand. Side 1. Here we go. Lift it up to stand. Slowly lower down. Lift up. That's 2. And lower down. Here's 3. Keep it strong from start to finish. Slow the descent. There's 4. Nice and easy as you sit back down. There's 5. Really press through all 4 corners of that supporting foot in the front. Here's 6. Slowly lower down. Take it up for 7. Last 3 here. 3. Hitting my struggle point, especially on the non-dominant side. 2. And 1. Slowly come back to your seat and rest. I'm going to adjust my chair just a little bit forward. So these asymmetrical exercises are so great for balancing strength from side to side, for correcting any postural imbalances that might be present, because we're recruiting the strength of each leg independently. And I can definitely feel dominant versus non-dominant leg, especially in those last few reps. It makes all the difference. So the dominant side, maybe you have a few more reps in reserve, but it's so important to train in this way to correct those imbalances. So we're coming into the second side next. And let's begin. Stand it up. That's 1. Slowly lower down. Take it up all the way straight and slowly lower down. This is 3. Chest and heart are elevated. Here's 4. Press through that bottom foot, all 4 corners. Spread the toes. That's 5. So you're not gripping in the toes, but you have that strong foundation to press up. That's 6. Here's 7. almost there. This is our last round of these. Last two. Make them strong. Take it up and slowly lower down. Last one. And rest. Take your weight down. We have our final set of the sit to stand exercise here. And then we'll be recovering, final set of our straight leg deadlift. And then we have a full recovery period. So a full minute before we move into our next set of work. So have your weights in position. Get ready to finish this set strong. Grab your weights. Come to the starting point. Roll the shoulders back. I know those weights are getting heavy. Let's begin for 10 reps. Hinge at the hips. Take it down and drive it up. Down and up. Resist the urge to rush, especially at the end. Keep it slow and steady, strong and smooth. Here's 4. Take it down and drive it up. Find that power as you extend the hips. Here's 6. Take it down and up. That's 7. Down and up. Last 2 here. Mid shin and up. Keep the spine neutral. Down and up. Excellent job. We can set our weights down to the side here as we allow ourselves a full minute of recovery. So that might look like releasing the spine, standing cat and cow. So arching and extending the spine here, releasing any residual tension that you might have in the posterior chain, maybe rounding through the upper back. You can even take a bit of a hamstring stretch, straightening one leg and then the other. You can even take some seated stretches in your chair. We've got just a few more seconds before we come into our next set of work. So again, this second set has an asymmetrical exercise to start where we'll be using a single dumbbell and a split squat. And then we're coming to a symmetrical exercise, our glute bridge, where we'll have the heels elevated on a chair. And you can have one or both weights on your hip creases, depending on how heavy you are. You're going on today's workout, how big your dumbbell is. Sometimes it's a little bit too challenging to have 2 dumbbells, so I might use just a single heavy one. So when you feel your breath kind of coming back to neutral, we'll take a few more deep ones in and out through the nose. Getting back to that more neutral place so that we can come in and finish this workout strong. So when you're ready, we'll grab a single weight. Our first movement pattern is just a very basic split squat. So it has the stance of a lunge, but we're keeping the legs in the same position the whole time. So we're not moving the legs past each other like we would in a lunge, but it's more of the squat movement pattern. So your spine moves straight up and down. We come down, 90-degree bends in both knees, and then we drive it up. So it's that same power at the top to extend the hips, but imagine sitting back into a chair. So it's more like the sit to stand where you're sitting the hips back as opposed to bowing forward in the hip hinge. So when you're ready, grab that single dumbbell. You can have it at the chest. You can have it by one side, wherever it feels most comfortable in your body. I might actually do the goblet hold here. And we come into position. We have 10 reps of this split squat. Let's get it now. Take it down and up. That's 1. Squeeze the glutes at the top. That's 2. Find the power by driving through that front heel. Here's 3 and 4. You should feel the work from that first set in the glutes here. That's 6. Feel the accumulation of work volume. Here's 8. Down and up. That's 9 and 10. You can set your weight down for a moment, and then we'll come right into our second side. So again, with asymmetrical exercises, I like to start fresh with the non-dominant side, and it gives me that point of comparison. So I can feel what that non-dominant side feels like, and then kind of notice the difference when we come into side 2. So when you're ready, grab your weight, find the hold that feels best in your body, and take the opposite leg forward. We're moving straight up and down, 10 reps. Here we go. Take it down and up. Make sure you have that strong 90-degree bend in both knees. There's 3. down and up. That's 4. Down and up. Squeeze the glutes at the top. Here's 6. 7. Last 3. Count them back. 3. Down and up. 2. Down and up. That's 1. Excellent job. So we're transitioning now onto the back. I encourage you to be mindful as we switch body positions, especially at this higher intensity level. Just be sure that you're giving yourself enough time so that we're not seeing any abrupt changes in blood pressure. So we don't want to have any dizziness as we move up and down. So for this next exercise, I'm going to be using just a single heavy dumbbell. And just because of the logistics of holding the heavier weights on my hips, I like to start with the hips pretty close to the chair because there's a tendency to inch back as you move through. So you'll come into position, knees are bent at 90, you're pressing through the heels so the toes are lifted, and then you can get your weight into position, bring it onto the hips. If you're working with 2 dumbbells, you can have them draped across your hip creases, and we're simply lifting up and lowering down. As you're ready, 10 reps. Lift up, squeeze the glutes, keep the hip bones hugging to the low ribs so you're not puffing the low belly and the low ribs. Here's 2. Take it down and up. That's 3. If your surface is pretty high, you might not come all the way to the ground between reps. Here's 5. Take it down and drive through the heels. That's 6. Take it up. 7. Last 3. Drive. Last 2. Take it up. Squeeze the legs together at the top. And last 1. Lift and squeeze. Come down and release that weight. Off to the side. As you come up, do it slowly. So lift your body up to seated first. Let your blood pressure equalize. And then we'll slowly transition back to standing for our next round of split squats. So take your time. Be sure that you're not rushing up and down too quickly. So when you're ready, we'll grab that single heavy weight and we'll get ready for split squats. Again, I encourage you, if it feels right in your body, to go with the non-dominant side first. See how that feels. So when you're ready, weights come into position. We have 1 foot forward, 1 foot back. Elbows are nice and close into the body. And we have our split squat, 10 reps. Take it down and straight up, down and up. You can pick up the pace if it feels right for you in this exercise because we have less distance to travel. 5, 6, but you want to really feel that full range of motion in both knees. That's 8, 9, and 10. Excellent job. Set the weight down and breathe. We'll come into our second side in just a moment. Allow yourself to collect the breath here so that you can start fresh with the second side. This is round 2 of 4. So we still have a high volume of work, even if we're moving a little bit more quickly. So you can come into that split stance and let's begin. Take it down, drive it up. That's 1. Down, extend the hips. 2, feel that power in the legs. Here's 4. Down and up. So we're driving through the front heel. You can even experiment with lifting the front toes slightly. That will really isolate the glute. That's 7. Down and up. There's 8 and 9. Last 1 and 10. Set your weight down beside you for the glute bridge next. And again, slowly transition from your standing position all the way down to the back. And you can bring your feet up onto that chair. Again, I like to start with the hips nice and close to the chair because I have a tendency to scooch back as we get through each set. So bring your weights onto your hip creases. You can have your legs more or less parallel, depending on what you need to accommodate the position of the dumbbell. And then as you come up, imagine magnetizing the legs to the midline, like you're squeezing the inner thighs, inner knees together. Let's get 10 reps here. Squeeze it up and together, lower down. Here's 2. Be careful as you're holding those weights that you're not pressing with the arms. So you're letting the glutes do all the work. The hands are just stabilizing that weight in space, so they're not doing any of the heavy lift. Here's 5. Down and up. That's 6. Squeeze the legs together at the top. 7. Take it down and up. So really try to flatten the low belly so you're not puffing out at the top. Here's 9. Last one. And 10. The glute bridges are an exercise that, because of the mind-muscle connection, slowly come up. They can be challenging at any weight range. So you can be body weight only, and by virtue of really engaging the glutes, squeezing the legs together, finding that mind-muscle connection, you can get a lot of work in the glutes with less weight. In the same way, you can load them very heavily and focus on kind of a shorter range of motion, or maybe not quite as much pause at the top. But this exercise has so much runway for how you can progress and how you can get stronger over time. So it's one of those staples. You'll find it in lots and lots of the Lune workouts, because it does have that staying power, the ability to grow with you as you get stronger. So I've been doing this for a really long time, and still a single weight with the heels elevated does the trick. So we'll come into round 3 of our split squats. Grab your weight, bring it into position. Non-dominant leg forward, other leg back. We're in our split stance. Let's get 10 reps. Here we go. Take it down. Squeeze it up. That's 1. Down and up. Here's 2. Down and up. That's 3. 4. Down and up. There's 5. 6. 4 more. Count them back. 4. Down and up. 3. 2. And 1. You should feel both legs in this exercise. So you might feel the back quad a little bit, and really the front glute. So you've got both legs working to drive the movement pattern. So we'll get ready to come into our second side. This is round 3. Grab your weight, come into position. So I'm taking my dominant leg forward this time, split stance, bracing the belly, lifting hip points to low ribs. Here we go. Take it down and up. So again, you might try that trick. That's 2 by lifting the front toes, really pressing through the ball mound of the foot. There's 3, down and up. That's 4, down, up. Take it down and squeeze to the top. There's 6, down and up. 7, 3 more. 3, down and up. 2 and 1. Set that weight down, off to the side, coming into our third round of the glute bridge. After this set, we have just one more of each exercise, and then we have that optional body weight finisher waiting at the end of this workout. So you can lower into position now. I'm going to slide this weight out of my way just a little bit and come down onto your back. So you want that nice 90-degree bend in both knees. Bring your weight into position. So slide the clothes out of the way so that you have that nice point of contact with the weights on the hips. So we've got the legs parallel coming into our glute bridge. 10 reps. Let's go. Take it up, squeeze the glutes, and lower down. So the upper body stays still and stable through this whole movement pattern. You're not gazing side to side, but the back of the neck stays long. That's 3. Take it up. Drive through the heels. 4. Hug the legs together. 5. Take it down. Rise up. 6. Down and up. Keep the belly braced so we're not puffing the low ribs. That's 8. Last 2. Take it up. Squeeze. Down and 10. Definitely feeling the glutes. I know you are too. So come up nice and slowly, carefully as you transition. Taking deep breaths each step of the way, so kind of stair-stepping from that supine position all the way back up to standing. We are coming into our fourth and final round now. Grabbing that single dumbbell for split squats in just a moment. So collect your breath. Get ready to finish this one strong. You can grab your weight. Come into position. Non-dominant leg forward. We'll come into that split stance. We've got just 10 reps. These will move quickly. Here we go. Take it down and up. That's 1. Down and up. 2. Down and up. Stay with it. Perfect form from start to finish. That's 5. You should be hitting that struggle point right about now. Here's 7. Feel it in the legs. 8, especially the glutes. 9, keep your spine nice and straight. And 10, set that weight down. We are almost there with the weighted portion of this workout. Stay with it. Take a big deep breath. Celebrate all the work you've put in so far and really shift your mindset for how you need to show up for these last 2 exercises. So we're coming into split squat now on the dominant leg. Bring that one forward. Step the opposite leg back. And lift your spine straight and strong. 10 reps. You got this. Let's go. Take it down and up. Dig deep. Really uncover how powerful you can be. The follicular phase is that opportunity to really flirt with our limits, flirt with the edges of our ability so that we can nudge them just a little bit, shift them just a little bit with each cycle. Here's 6. So that we can get stronger. We progress little by little over time. And it's progress that stays. It's long-term. We're making lasting changes. Here's 9 and 10. And with the cyclical approach, each effort has more efficiency. You're getting more out of every workout because you're using and mapping your training onto your physiology. So you're not working against your body and really having to work extra hard for your results, but instead you find this rhythm, this flow that feels a little bit more like alignment, like you're working with your body. So we'll come into our glute bridges. Final round here. Get your body into position. You can grab your weight. And we'll begin with our glute bridge. So the back is nice and firmly planted on the mat, and we lift the hips. Here we go. Take the hip points skyward and toward the low ribs. 2, you're squeezing the inner thighs at the top. 3, squeeze the inner knees. 4, press through the heels. 5, just 5 more here. Count them back. 5. There's 4. You can feel the hamstrings here. Here's 3. They are awake and alive after this workout. There's 2. And last one. Take it up and back down. Breathe it out. Set your weights down. Slowly transition from that supine position back up to standing. That completes the weighted portion of our workout. Take a little bit of recovery here, maybe rotating side to side. Again, that nice cat-cow spine. Just allowing your heart rate to come back down to a more neutral place. And we have 2 options now. You can either skip right ahead to the cool down by using the timestamps in the description of this video, or you can stay right here and join me for that optional bodyweight finisher now. You have chosen to stick with me for this bodyweight finisher. I'll get our timer started and we will begin in just about 10 seconds here. So we're starting with a squat to a lateral leg lift in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. We squat it down and lift one leg out, and then we switch sides. So this is a glute burner. We are using body weight movement patterns to really isolate the glutes and finish strong. We're in each exercise for 50 seconds of work. We have a quick 10-second transition in between, so it's pretty much continuous effort for this last 5 minutes. Stay with me here, out to the side, feel the glutes. You want to keep that leg in the same plane as the body, so it's not moving forward or back. We just take it out and then to center, out and to center. In about 10 seconds, we'll be making our transition to a reverse lunge with a leg extension. We've got 3, 2, and 1. So you'll turn to one side. We're simply stepping back and extending the leg in 3, 2, and 1. Take it back and extend. Back. So now we're in that center part of the glute in this linear pattern. So feel the meaty part of the glute activate. At the same time that you're engaging the glute of the back leg, you should feel the front glute working to stabilize, to facilitate the movement. Always breathing here. In and out through the nose where possible, maybe exhaling through the mouth to release heat. We are in that follicular phase where we have this little bit of extra reserve in the tank. With our slower baseline metabolism, we can tap into these energy pathways to get a little bit more and rest. We're coming into a squat to curtsy pulse. So we're just alternating between sides with a curtsy lunge and a squat in between. So we take it down to a squat and to the other side. This one will start to burn because you're staying in that low position the entire time. So you've got the legs under tension for that full 50-second interval. Out to the side and tap behind. Keep it nice and low. Keep the head and chest elevated. So we are in that squat movement pattern where we're not dipping the torso forward. Side and back. We've got just over 10 seconds here, and then we're switching to our lunge with leg extension on the other side. 3, 2, and 1. Shake it out, take a little bit of a posture break, and then we're coming into the second side. So stepping back into a lunge and extending the leg. 2, 1. Take it back, extend that back leg. So that nice split squat stance like we just had in our workout, and then the leg extension. This will burn out the glutes, give you that extra little bit of activation to carry you through the rest of your day. So you will feel that effort in the glutes, and it might help you to have better posture throughout the day, maybe stand up a little straighter, walk a little stronger. We're here for a few more reps at the end of this interval, and then we're coming into our lateral lunge glide. So in 3, 2, 1, we're coming back to center now. Legs are wide apart. You want the toes pointing forward to the long edge of your mat. And we're going down into our side lunge. Stay low, glide across, and come up. Then reverse the direction. So came down the way you came up. Switch sides, up, and then straight back down. Glide across, come up, and back down. Now targeting the inner thighs, the groin, kind of the supporting musculature that allows us to develop strength in the glutes. So we have to really be mindful of balancing all sides of the body, front, back, left, and right, so that we're not overtraining a particular muscle group and creating more postural imbalance. But we want to find that nice middle ground where we have well-rounded strength on all sides. Last one, and come up. Step your feet together, shake it out, That is your super quick 5-minute body weight finisher, and we will shift into cool down mode now. You have just completed your lower body strength training workout, and now we are ready to cool down. Be mindful of your heart rate. If it's still very elevated, you might enjoy a little bit more kind of dynamic movement before we come into the static stretching. So maybe it's reaching side to side, sweeping an arm, extending, whatever you need to move the whole body together so that you don't let your heart rate crash over a cliff. So we want to not have that steep drop, but instead kind of this gradual drop from elevated back down to neutral. So you might take side lunges, whatever you need. Maybe you dance it out, shake it out. I know it feels good to have that leg day workout behind you. Now you just get to tap into that well of endorphins and the feel-good hormones that come along. So once you feel your heart rate is back down to a more manageable range, a place where you can carry on a conversation, then we can come into our cooling movement. We're starting with a deep squat to a fold. So we'll take that down to our deep squat, knees track over the toes, then touch the hands, parallel the feet, fold forward. We take it out, squat deep, nice and low, and then we fold over the legs, working the legs in the direction of straight. Squat it down and fold. So we're here for a full minute. So you can take any variation of this that feels good. Maybe you're swaying the hips side to side at the bottom. Maybe you're bending and straightening the legs at the top in that forward bend. Really just allowing your body to experience both phases of this movement. Being mindful here of taking the head below the heart. So in that forward bend, you might continue to keep the heart and head at the same elevation with the hips. We've got about 15 more seconds here. Really stretch out the calves, the shins, the feet. We hit all muscle groups in the lower body. So just giving them some love here. And then we'll slowly start to turn over that right foot, come into a lunge. Both hands to the inside. Reach the arms up, take a side bend. Bring your right hand to your right hip. Shift into that front foot so you feel that hip flexor stretch in the back leg. Big breath in here. Come back up through center. Take your hands to the inside of right foot, lizard pose. Keep the heart elevated. Allow the hips to melt down towards the mat without collapsing. So there's that buoyant quality in the hips, even as you sink a little lower. You might come onto the knife edge of your right foot, stretch it out to the side. And then here, we'll straighten that leg into runner stretch, just like we had in our warm-up, but this time feeling maybe a little bit more of the work in the hamstrings from your workout. Press down through that right heel, drag it energetically back towards your right sitting bone. And then we'll slowly come back forward into that lizard stretch and get ready to change sides. So right knee comes back, left foot comes forward, reach it up into a lunge, side bend, left hand to the left side waist, reach it up and over. And then as you do this, shift the weight forward into your left foot, come onto the top of the back thigh, press down through the top of the back foot, and stretch into the hip flexor. Slowly come up, bring both hands to the inside of left foot for lizard pose. Such a nice stretch after a leg day. So you should feel the groin, the inner thigh. You might shift onto the knife edge to get more of the outer hip. Again, letting the hips melt down without collapsing. And then we'll come into our runner stretch next. So straightening that left leg any amount. Keep the heart stretching forward. You might even press it down into the finger pads and drag energetically back. So you slingshot the heart between the upper arms. We hug the left toes toward the left shin. And then from here, we're slowly going to come forward. Bring that back foot in to transition to a seat. And here we'll cross left ankle over right knee. Press into your hands to lift up through the heart, seated figure 4. So here we're stretching side to side, just feeling that deep outer hip stretch. And then if it feels okay for you, keep hugging the heart, belly, chest toward the thighs. And then maybe you start to twist. Take that left foot over to the right and bring the right knee down. So again, getting a little bit of a seated twist. You can even wrap the right arm around the left thigh to really feel that stretch in the outer hips, outer thighs. And get that bit of massage, low belly into that left leg. And we'll slowly come back through seated figure 4 here. Last big stretch, lift the heart towards the shin. And we'll transition to the second side. So left foot comes down, right ankle crosses over left knee. We dial that right knee open and then press through the finger pads to lift your heart, belly, chest into the shape of the legs. Rock it side to side. So a lot of times in these static stretches, it can be helpful to add just a little bit of pulsation, a little bit of rhythmic movement side to side. That signals to your body that things are okay, that it can relax into the stretch. So it's part of that transition to parasympathetic nervous system. We have this healthy cortisol spike that happens during higher intensity exercise. And then we can balance that now in our cool down with the breath and with the pace of the movement. As you're ready, you can come into that twist, lower the shape of the legs to the left, wrap left arm around right thigh, and press your belly into that thigh. Keep the shoulders relaxed, really stretching into the outer hip, outer thigh, and slowly start to come out. We can take hands to the floor. We'll parallel the feet and deep bend in the knees, roll up bone by bone all the way to standing. Hopefully you feel like your heart rate is back to normal. Let's take a big breath in and sigh it out. That is your lower body cool down to complete your workout for today. Thank you for showing up, for putting in this hard work during the midpoint of your cycle, this peak performance phase, where you can really tap into the potential of your cycle, tap into the potential of your physiology so that you can get closer and closer to sustainable fitness goals. So thank you for being here, for sweating with me, and for letting your body be moved.